I mean, in Tampa at Baker's house, this isn't Cleveland anymore. This isn't LA. You're gonna have to be escorting, making sure there's no gators in the stadium in Tampa. It's
Yeah.
like this is no more just mowing the lawn anymore.
So then the schedule gets a little tough after this because they got a pretty tough patch of.
What are we
I would
right
say
now?
right now they're 6-2.
6-2.
They got about 7 straight playoff teams right here.
Okay.
Allegedly, potentially, maybe 5 or 6.
All right.
They start on Sunday Night Football facing off against Joe Burrow
Joe
and
Burrow.
the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati.
I'm gonna go. Part of me wants to say I want to be early on this one. I think this is the year where they finally beat the Bengals.
You think they
I
beat the
think
Bengals
I
here?
think this is a year where you got blown out last year. You add a new tight end, and I don't like all the losses in the secondary for the Bills, and I think this is where the Titans kind of started to sleep on the Ravens in that rivalry where the Bengals let their guard down in this game. Joe Burrow's now the favorite to be the MVP coming into the series, so I could see the Bengals stumbling a little bit in the season, and I'm gonna go with the Bills to win this one.
Okay, I see the vision. And then they are at home. They face the Denver Broncos.
Oh, that's a win.
Win?
That's definitely a win. Russell Wilson on the road. Well, I think Russell Wilson may be able to become something more resemblant to himself. I think he's going to play much better at home than he is on the road this season. So I don't think he's going to be the same guy home and on the road. And then Buffalo, they can score points.
Oh, yeah.
They can score at home, especially against a team like Denver. I trust them a lot in the regular season.
And then they stay at home
Okay.
against the New York Jets.
Yeah, I think that's another win.
So you got them right now. They're looking pretty at 9-2.
Yeah, I think this is the year where the Bills finally don't have all the weight of the world. Everyone's gonna cool it on the Josh Allen talk, and then they're gonna be like, "Hey, they're not talking about us anymore," and they start to rebuild some of that momentum, gain a little bit of a chip and the edge on their shoulder, and then Josh Allen. This is probably the year, if any, that he would be the MVP. I
Okay.
think he has more weapons this year. Yeah, I like them beating the Jets.
Okay. And then they go to Philadelphia to face the defending NFC champions in the Philadelphia Eagles.
I'm gonna go a loss and a shootout.
A shootout.
I think
Okay.
that's a really good game, but just since Philadelphia's at home, made some great additions on defense, and then their offense is going to be able to go pound for pound. And then this is the point in the season where not having a run game is really going to start to bite the Bills in the ass, especially in a game like this that's on the road, cold weather against a tough defense. Josh Allen isn't going to be able to throw his way out of this one.
And then they have a bye week.
Okay.
Get a little bit of rest after a tough, brutal schedule. And then they go to Arrowhead to face the Chiefs.
I'm gonna go win. They beat the Chiefs pretty regularly the past 2 regular seasons. Beat them the past 2 years in the regular season. Actually, one was a blowout, one was a 1-possession game. Don't really see anything changing right now because I think the Bills are a better regular season team than the Chiefs. So yeah, I'm gonna go Bills to win this one.
I like it. I like the vision. And then in Buffalo, you're taking on Jerry World, Dak Prescott, and the boys with the stars on their helmets. And yeah, Sunday football game.
I think the Cowboys score 13 points in this game.
In a loss or a win?
In a loss. This one's gonna be 31-13.
I like the vision.
Book it.
And then we got Josh Allen taking on Justin Herbert in SoFi Stadium.
This is a fluky loss. I see this is one of those really fluky games where the Chargers are really trying to pull their season together, get some momentum going. Maybe they have gotten some momentum going, and this is just one of those weird road games that you can't predict. I think it's one of those losses where it's like, hey, maybe Justin Herbert is better than Josh Allen, and everyone's like, wait a minute, let's think here for a second.
And then they go back home to face a team that's dragged through the mud at this point, the New England Patriots.
Yeah, poor Patriots. This is going to be a beatdown. That's a tough loss in LA. You fly back. Why did we lose that game to Justin Herbert on a walk-off field goal to the Chargers of all people? You know what's going to help me feel better? Oh, beating the shit out of the Patriots.
After they beat them up the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And then to end the season in Miami Dolphins.
That's a loss.
I know. Okay. So you have them kind of struggling down the stretch, losing 3 of the last 5 games. But overall, they will finish
which has been
as
their MO.
yeah.
I felt like I got like what the Bills have been, and I think this is a little bit of a redemption year for the Bills, especially in what's now a stacked AFC. I think this year Josh Allen locks in. He has to beat the Bengals and the Chiefs. He's gonna have that on his resume, but now he just has to prove it this year. He can do it in the playoffs. Which do I think he does? Not really. But I think this year overall for the Bills, we have a lot of question marks. People aren't really talking about them too much. And then people are now looking at Joe Burrow and the Bengals to be the next big thing when they've lost several key pieces in the secondary. So I think they're going to have trouble definitely stopping the pass this year. Can the offensive line stay healthy for Joe Burrow? Because if it can hold up in the playoffs when we have all of our starters, then the Bengals will be able to get back to the Super Bowl because they were, again, an offensive line away from getting back to the Super Bowl, which is part of the game. But if we can keep Burrow upright, then we have a shot.
So you have the Bills finishing as 11-6.
Yeah, that's pretty fair. I
Yeah,
would say you would come to the same conclusion.
I would say anywhere between 11 and 12 wins, which you have a fluky
Yeah.
loss to the Chargers.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a win in there that you
And I think you did have them splitting with the Jets, so I could see maybe them losing to the Jets and beating the Chargers, but I feel like we would have come out to sort of the same record there.
Yeah, I definitely think that the Bills, do you think they're going to we'll find out when we do the Dolphins, but you see them winning the division?
We'll see.
We'll see. I guess we'll find out. So now we go to the Dolphins, and they obviously first you can kind of give your thoughts there on how you feel about the Dolphins this season, being
Yeah.
9-8 last year.
I actually love the Dolphins coming into this year because I think they had a very sneaky addition that not a lot of people are talking about, and that's Mike White. Mike White did nothing but step into the quarterback position with the Jets, maybe limited receivers. He had Garrett Wilson, but he was still young and learning, and he went on the road to Minnesota and threw for 350 passing yards. He had multiple 300-yard passing games with the New York Jets, and he kept them in some games where they didn't deserve to be there, and they wouldn't have been if Zach Wilson was in the game. So I think this is very sneaky because I think when Tua's on the bench now, you have a guy who can trust, and you have a guy that'll actually push it and get it to his weapons, and you have a guy that has some lore behind him who the fans can get behind and cheer for. So I think honestly, with the addition of Mike White, now I'm not as worried as Tua gets up because I think with those weapons, Mike White was a competent quarterback with the Jets, and when he stepped on the field, he threw for 350 yards versus the Vikings on the road, and I felt like he looked like he belonged, and he hasn't played a full year yet. So I think that, and then, oh yeah, we have Jalen Ramsey and Xavier Howard now, and Jalen Ramsey may still be one of the 20 best players in football. He's still a superstar. He still disrupts the run game. So my feelings on the Dolphins, very high on them because they also have the superstar coach, Bobby Mike McDaniel Logic himself.
Yeah, I'm here for it. I like the vision. I have them. I see them competing with the Bills here. So
Yeah.
we'll dive in week 1. So first off, their first quarter of the season, they're on the road for most of it. So they start on the road in SoFi Stadium against the Chargers.
That's another shootout, but I think Miami goes on the road. They're going to be amazing early on the season because Tua is going to be back in the saddle and healthy with those weapons. And then Jalen Ramsey's very comfortable in that stadium. I'm going to go on the road. Shootout, we win. Dolphins.
And then week 2, at New England, week 2.
Yeah, New England in September again. The Dolphins have gotten some really good schedule breaks where they go to New England and Buffalo in September. That's huge for them, I feel like, because they can go the Jets and still win. So I'm going to go on the road. We're starting at 2-0, baby. Fins up in New England.
And then they are finally home after 2 weeks on the road, and they face Denver with Sean Payton.
Yeah, I think that's a game where the Broncos aren't going to be able to score enough points to win that game. Sean Payton's still figuring out the defense. Your defense really comes together and starts to come alive after Q4. That's when you start to build that continuity. So offense is really the predominant factor in most of the games in September. So that's why I'm going to have Miami again, like they did last year, starting out 3-0.
And you had the Bills losing to the Dolphins in week 4.
I did. I
At
had them
Buffalo.
losing to the Dolphins twice, actually.
So you have the Dolphins starting 4-0.
Yeah.
You're pretty high in these boys.
They started pretty similarly last year if Tua stayed upright, but
They started off hot. So, I already know what week 5 is going to be, but they are at home against the lowly Daniel Jones led Giants.
yeah, Daniel Jones really can't get over 24 points, and the Dolphins are probably going to drop 35. Yeah.
Yeah, Giants suck. Panthers at home. They face Bryce Young led Panthers.
Again, I can't pick the Panthers yet. I don't know what they are. But yeah, I would have to pick them to win that game too.
So now they're rolling hot. They're 6-0. Probably
6-0.
probably one of the last undefeated teams at this point. And they go week 7 in Philadelphia on Sunday Night Football.
Whoa.
6-0 Dolphins.
6-0 Dolphins going up against the defending Super Bowl champion, 2 very young head coaches, 2 young quarterbacks, and then Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle versus AJ Brown. I have to go Dolphins with this one just because we started out so hot Sunday Night Football, but I think this game is going to be 34-31. It's going to be an all-time classic, back and forth shootout, but since it's a toss-up and we're 6-0, I'm going to go with the Eagles just because they're at home.
Okay, so you have them losing their first game. They're 6-1.
Yeah.
And then week 8, they face the Patriots at home.
Another